The Lost and Found Prince. Story 10 of Fabulous Tales and Fables ASAP by Owen T Duggan. The Lost and Found Prince. Continuing, Scene 6. An apron lady loudly knocks. In the wake of Beresevi's outburst, people expected more. New arrivals crowding the window were disappointed. The rooster had withdrawn to his nest of straw, and the pheasant had dragged his old coat to the front door, barely in view, wrapping himself for warmth. There wasn't much to see.
"They're not doing anything, guys,"
one tall kid yelled to inform his friends who couldn't see in. "Sorry, folks," thought Appletree. "My next magic trick was going to be to turn a chicken into a human, but I'm afraid the act is about to be cancelled. Show's over. Go home." Some kids, boosting each other up to get a peek, managed to knock over one of the bottles, spilling water. It rolled off the countertop and smashed on the floor, and the kids took off to escape trouble. A little later, a mighty knock boomed through the door, rattling Appletree's spine, which was resting peaceful on the interior side of the door. It was a huge, brutish hand, or club, that rapped. Appletree spun around to face whatever band of goons were about to invade the house and clear out anyone pretending to be an animal. Doctor and patient both would be dragged off to an uncertain fate. Wrong. No one came through. Locks were not being jiggled. Maybe they're going to crash the back way. Do pheasants build barricades?
"Nan! Yoo-hoo! Nan!"
came a shaky old voice. Appletree looked from door to back hall to door.
"I'll just put it here. Okay, Nan? Nan?
Came the voice again.
It's for the banquet."
A cloth-wrapped package appeared on the windowsill. No face, no hands, did Appletree see, but only a flat bundle that sat on the sill like a freshly baked pie cooling down. "What is?" thought the doctor, baffled. "What is for the banquet?" He stood, wearing his old coat, and walked to inspect the delivery, taking a careful, wide detour around the wet, broken glass. A pie? No. A tablecloth? No, of course not. Because it was an apron! Another apron! And the lady who made them was here a second ago. She must use a club when knocking, in order to be heard. And the apron lady was gone. And there was no banquet. Did no one tell her? Month's end had passed. Had the lady lost track of days? She must be batty. Senile? Appletree opened it, curious to check its design. There, in modestly simple stitchwork, was a form not animal, but human. "Is it me?" Appletree wondered, seeing a brimmed hat, a walking stick, and coat-tails forked and flapping. He didn't put it with the other aprons on the pegs, but plopped it on the table on top of his ransacked bundle. He was no less baffled. Perhaps he too had gone senile. "Glass!" he exclaimed, and grabbed an end of the overturned bench. He plowed it upside down into the broken bottle, clearing aside the danger of stepping on it with bare feet. Then he started grabbing aprons and tacking them over the window opening, picture side out. "Show's over, folks," he announced to anyone there, and he covered the opening completely from view, using up one last apron, one with a driverless wagon-load of ale kegs pulled by a pair of draft horses.
"Run,"
said some kids,
"before we turn into animals."
Appletree returned to the table, used the new apron as a pillow, and decided that whatever mob or officials would come, he would, till then, do nothing other than breathe and watch the strange shadows made by the wall memorabilia. Soon, without effort, insight came. First, he visualized a bad outcome. Thugs from the next neighborhood over crash in after dark. They bind both him and Beresevi and drag them out, not distinguishing patient from doctor. Kicking like mules, roaring like who knows what, they face a lynch mob that chants, "Kill them! Kill them!" Death comes by strangulation. "It's out of our hands," bemoans an official. "It's a diplomatic matter." The tragic end. Second, he visualized a good outcome. He imagined Beresevi's voice. "Do pheasants eat with forks?" Beresevi is saying. "Not only that, son," says Appletree. "They also, if they want to, drink ale from stoneware. By the way, Beresevi, you're not a chicken, so no pressure, but now would be a good time to start acting human." They sit down to a proper meal at a table and drink some nice cold ale. Oh, there are more paths into madness than there are human beings on earth, and there are very few sure ways out of it. In some cases, there is no way out at all, at all, at all. Once, in times past, when Appletree was a student doctor, he was brought in to watch and take notes on an unusual treatment. It was at an isolated madhouse where a patient's family had just approved extreme measures to attempt a cure. The patient, a man whose mind had dissociated for longer than anyone knew, in bright daylight was brought down to the pond, a place where people were washed, weather permitting. Appletree had observed that the patient had two moods, a good one and a bad. In the bad one he would scratch and gnash at anyone who was near. In the good one, you could trim his fingernails if you dared. He would smile and call out ecstatically, "Hi, Stancia! Hi, girl! Hi there! Hi!" This even though no one had a clue who Stancia was. When he stood, he rocked his short, stocky frame back and forth on rigid legs. When he walked, he paid attention less to his immediate path than to his happy hallucination. "Here's what we do," said the presiding therapist. "We walk him into the water. Let him wade around as he likes. If he goes deep, he'll just have to make an effort to save himself. And in the effort his wits should return to him." They did so, leading him in and leaving him to wade alone and unassisted, and with dignity. "Hi there," the patient called, happily staring into space. "Hi there, girl. Stancia. Hi." Smiling, he plowed shallow, then deep. Shallow, then too deep. His legs kept him going as he went below and stayed below. Bubbles popped up, then stopped. Appletree got ready to dive in, but was held back. "Do not interfere," reminded the presiding doctor, and his assistants enforced the command. Pendroy, for that was the patient's name, drowned. And Mr. Appletree, not quite yet doctor, left that isolated madhouse, never to return, for he then understood and rejected its house policy, which was, "We cure who we can, and we let the rest die." Sink or swim was a method that does not work in all cases. Indeed, it didn't work in that one.
"Oh, they bless the heavens!"
exclaimed Dr. Appletree, gazing at the cavities between the dark beams above. He knew it gave dignity to a patient to imagine them behaving like everyone else. However, often people who go mad stay mad. Let them. No use in forcing someone to snap back out of madness, if that was just how they were going to be for the remainder of their lives. No more use than expecting turkeys to fly with the agility of hawks. He was resigned to failure. Fair enough. Whether they paid him, he cared not. He released his frustration, and any need to succeed, for he could not cure this man. He was done playing at being birds. If anything, he would rather play at being a bear. Bears hibernate. Cold weather was coming. He'd find a den somewhere. Not this one. A different one. He closed his eyes. What did they want from him really, after all? Maybe they wanted an assassin, not a doctor. The rich uncle can't accept his nephew in this altered state.
"It's for the banquet,"
said someone softly.
"It's for the banquet."
This whisper was not imagined, nor from out of a memory. It was not familiar.
"It's for the banquet."
It was no elderly woman. The doctor turned towards a whiff of breath from a mouth sorely in need of a teeth-brushing. He opened his eyes upon a face in profile, unnervingly close.
"It's for the banquet,"
confided the odd voice yet again through a cloud of bad breath. "Oh," said Appletree, genuinely surprised. His brain had been slow. It was, of course, Beresivy Rudigal who had spoken.
"It's for the banquet."
That was a repetition of what the apron lady had said. Was Beresivy changing from chicken into parrot? Let him! He was speaking.
"It's for the banquet."